Recording in progress.
Hello, my dear beloved friends, my family. It is so great to be with all of you this moment. As you may be able to hear, the bells of Santa Chiara are ringing, which means it is time to join. Time for us to come together, which is what we do. We come together, we join as one because there is power, there is grace, and there is also even a little bit of foolishness to what we do here every day. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. As you know, I've been talking a lot about foolishness, divine foolishness, since I've been here in Assisi. This is a very easy and natural environment to really absorb a very strange idea that came about 800 years ago when Francis simply wanted to see if it was possible to really do what Jesus said to do. There was a certain foolishness to that. Back then they would say, well, how is that even possible? That was 1,200 years ago. Just as we're saying, well, that was 2,000 years ago. But he was foolish enough to give everything. Not just try. He was foolish enough to give everything. And that is what we are here to do. To give all in all. Not hold back anything. And yes, that does mean sometimes, often maybe, appearing foolish in the eyes of the world or the ego. But as we're going to talk about a little bit in a moment here, there is a certain wisdom to that. But first, I have something very foolish to share, but I think is going to get us heading in the right direction. Someone just shared this with me, and I thought it was brilliant, even though it's so silly. Now, most of you probably know what Gen Z is. It's the younger generation. They have a certain way of talking. It seems like every generation has a certain way of talking. Many of us were, raised from in the 60s. We would say things like groovy man, and the older generation would look at us like, what does that mean? Well, just as we have done to the generations that have come after us. And the Gen Z, they are especially good at using their own language, which we may not understand, but we can feel the frequency, we can feel the vibration of this language. So, most of you know the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Well, this is the 23rd Psalm done in the language of Gen Z. So, here it is. Yo, God. My ride or die, I'm chillin', no cap. He makes me log off and touch grass, leads me to that calm, vibey energy. He hits the reset on my soul like a deep clean. He puts me on the right path, not for clout, but for the rep of his name, 100%. Even when I walk through the darkest vibes, like major shadow realm stuff, I don't freak out. You're right there with me. No ghosting. Your vibe checks and comes back. Total comfort. You set up a whole feast for me while the haters just watch. You bless me so hard, my cup's spilling over. Good vibes and grace, they're chasing me like fans till the end of time. And I'm vibing in God's house forever. Infinite lease, no rent. Amen. That's the Gen Z 23rd Psalm. I love it. It's kind of silly, yeah, it's kind of foolish, but don't you feel a certain lift right now? Don't you feel some joy filling up your heart and lifting you just a little bit? Well, that's what divine foolishness is meant to do. So I want to talk about something that I've been thinking about lately that makes sense to me. And I think on a personal level, it makes sense to all of us. Okay, so there is a thing called destructive interference. Now, I had never heard the term until I looked it up, but I've heard of the concept. The idea is that when there are two like waveforms that come together that are the same, they cancel each other out. Okay, so two like waveforms cancel each other out. We hear this in sound, we can hear this and see this in many ways. That's called destructive interference. Now, let's look at that from the perspective of divine foolishness. We have been led to believe that there is a certain logic, intelligence to this world that we have created, a certain level of reality to this world. We call it, the laws of nature. We call it just the way we are, the way things are. And we buy into it totally. And then we act according to the laws of that so-called reality. And in doing so, we reinforce the entire thing, the whole world, all of its ways, all of its laws, everything about it. And we participate. We literally call it into being through our participation, our belief, and it becomes a reality. So, what we miss and what people don't want to see, what none of us really ultimately want to see, but we will, this is inevitable, that the world that we think is so real is foolishness. Complete and total foolishness. It's not real at all. This is what we've been talking about every single day. It's what A Course in Miracles says, every divine teaching, whether we're looking at Joel Goldsmith, Ananda Mayama, Nisargadatta, they're all saying that the world you think is real is not what you think it is. It's like we are in an insane asylum. But those who live in the insane asylum can very easily convince themselves that it's a real world. You've heard me tell the whole tale of the world that we wake up in that is really a prison. And many of you still say, in the prison. I know Jet says it a lot. I'm having a great day in the prison. We realize that we have created this prison world, this prison of perception, of craziness, of laws that only make sense within the prison. Okay? So now that we've established that, how does this apply to divine foolishness, and how does it apply to destructive interference? Well, the key about divine foolishness is to shine the light onto the foolishness of this world so that we can see clearly that it's not what we think it is. And when someone like Francis comes along, when someone like Brother Juniper comes along, Juniper, you may remember, and this is the reason I have chosen his name, he was the fool of the community. He would do the craziest things, and it wasn't that he wasn't very smart. He wanted to bring people's attention to the foolishness of the world. And so he would do the craziest things to shake people up, to wake them up. And Francis said, if only I had a forest filled with junipers, or a forest filled with people who think like Juniper, who are willing to shake up the perception that we hold so dear, that we hold on to with all of our might, because we're so afraid of looking at it and realizing that it's not real at all, that it is foolishness. So here's what happens, and this is what I've been thinking about. When we come at this world through the lens of divine foolishness, in other words, we bring, like a child, we bring play, we bring entertainment, we bring silliness, like a child, into every interaction. Where we may look foolish in the eyes of the world, we dance for no reason, we sing out loud, we do things that make no logical adult sense. We're not adulting. That's why I love that beautiful Gen Z adaptation of the 23rd Psalm, because it doesn't make any sense, really. It's just funny. But there's something to it. that kind of shakes us loose. If I just sat here and read, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want," and read the whole 23rd Psalm, you would just kind of fall into it because this is what we do. We've heard that so many times, we just fall right into it. But when we hear words like, let me start, "Yo, God, my ride or die, my chillin', my cap. He makes me log off and touch grass, leads me to that calm, vibey energy." That's silly. That's ridiculous. And it shakes us free. So here's the key. When we come at this world with that energy, that divine foolishness, this is what destructive interference is. And what do? Just like with sound waves or any other type of waves, we cancel it out. When we come at the foolishness of the world with the foolishness of God, the foolishness of our soul, we cancel out the effects of the egoic world. In our own experience, we're no longer bound by the customs, the rules, all the things that we think are so important. They just begin to fade away. Destructive interference, because we haven't interfered with them by trying to clash. We have interfered with it by matching foolishness for foolishness. This is just my theory. I don't know if it's true or not, but it makes sense to me. And that's why foolishness for me is such a powerful way of living life, of living our faith, living that experience of divine oneness that unleashes us from all of the ways and the rules and the constrictions and all of the things of this world that we simply believe because we were told to believe, because our lives have seemed to prove it to be true, but never was it. So this is why I encourage all of us to live this divine foolishness, to adapt ways into your own life of shaking free the shackles of the world that you think is so real, that you have to follow, because you don't. You don't have to follow any of them. I think this is what Juniper taught us. It's what St. Francis taught us. It's what all the great saints teach us. You don't have to live in that way. So I just thought I would start things off with that teaching, that sort of realization that I've had here in Assisi. I'm going to turn it over to Penny Honey in just a moment, but I want to share something else with you before I go. So just a few minutes right before before I came here to this beautiful place to share this session, I was asked to sing a few songs at an international peace gathering just down the way here at the Piazza del Comune. And I ended with a particular prayer that I thought I would end my portion of this discussion with. And this is how Francis would leave his brothers whenever he would go on a journey. And we're all on a journey. We're on a journey of foolishness, a journey of joy. And so with that in mind, I leave all of you with this prayer. May the Lord bless and keep you. May he show his face to thee. May his mercy come now upon you and set your spirit free. May God's countenance come upon you, and may he give to you true peace. May the Lord bless and keep you and never cease. All you, my brothers and my sisters, whom I love, the peace of the Lord is all I have to give. May the Lord bless and keep you. May she show her face to thee. May her mercy come now upon you and set your spirit free. May God's mercy come now upon you and set your spirit free. Be like a child today. Don't overcomplicate, just keep it simple. Yes, so simple. Love's power in you is strong. You don't need to wait so long. It's simple. Yeah, it's so simple. I do believe that you can finally see what I tried to get you to understand. It isn't hard to see what has always been true if you take my hand. Yeah, just take my hand. Be like a child today. There you have it. Be like a child, be simple, be foolish. Don't hold back, give everything, cancel out all the rules of this world. You don't need them anymore. And that's it. So, Penny Honey, take it from there.
Yeah. Juniper, Joseph, we love you.
We love you.
We bless you.
We bless you.
We see the Christ in you,
We see the Christ in you.
and we appreciate you.
And we you.
Thank you, dear family. I love you all. I'll see you later.
And I get to follow that. Can I sing? I'll do you a favor and not. This is what it looks like. What we see when we sit in the presence of the freedom to express our divine selves. If you need to know what it looks like, this is what it looks like. Now look around and see that in each other. And if you're in the Zoom room, look within and see that in yourself. He sent a text, Juniper Joseph did this morning, and he said, I want to talk about the spiritual foolishness as it bumps into the worldly foolishness. Okay. Okay. So what came for me as I sat in the quiet with that was this. Being a fool is freely opening our lives. FOOL. Freely opening our lives. So that the light that we are truly can spill out, like the Gen Z said, right? The light that we are and the love that we are can spill out into the world and create experiences like we've just had. I wonder if that would be useful. I think I'm going to email the UN. I may even include the White House. that we sit here willing to be fools, where we freely open our lives so that the next greatest expression can move through. You know how I love to quote the greats. I have a quote this morning from someone I highly respect, Cher. She says this. She says, until you are ready to look foolish, you will never have the possibility of being great. There you go. There's some wisdom for us. You know, that idea of giving into and being foolish, I've never had a hard time being silly, but being foolish was a little close to the edge and pushed against some of those stories that I had told myself or had heard, that you should always get it right. That's mine. What's yours? Because you have one. What is that little story that we run with that prevents us from stepping into that expression that Juniper Joseph was sharing with us this morning? You know, foolish describes an action or behavior. The definition is that shows a lack of good sense and judgment or discernment. Well, that sounds like something I should sign up for. But as we sit with that for a moment, I say, yes, that's exactly what it is. It's a lack of good sense and judgment and discretion. There are people in my life that can vouch for that, that know that that is where I have been in my life from time to time. But this morning in sitting with this, what came was this. I'm kind of excited to be foolish, if meaning that good sense that we're supposed to have, if we take it into the context of a new thought definition, sense consciousness is referring to a state that we're limited or focused on, information that we're getting from the outside. That's our sense consciousness. I'm glad to let go of that one. What you think of me is just none of my business. See? So I'm happy to be foolish like that, to let go of that sense consciousness. Good sense. Who needs it? It's temporary, it's underdeveloped, and it's a false way of perceiving reality. That's what having good sense might be. When we think of it in its expanded nature, because that's who we want to be. That's where we want to live, in our expanded nature, right? No, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Wanted to make sure I was in the right room. And so that thing about being foolish and that's not having good judgment. That's not making good judgment. You know what my grandma Maine used to say? No, you probably don't yet, but you will. She'd say, if you judge people, you just have no time to love them. If you judge people, you just have no time to love them. Well, that includes you. Not one of you had a judgmental thought about yourself this morning, did you? Not a one of you, because I had them all. Thank you. Thanks for doing that. We are a full service community. Oh my, you guys make this so easy. And so that includes ourselves. You know, I could use less of that. So I think being a fool, if that means not having good judgment or making judgment, I'm willing to let go of that. And how about that discretion thing? Oh, you have to get it right. You have to get it right. What's yours? What's yours? Perfection. What's yours? What is that that separates you from being free? Free. Discretion is seen as standing alone It's not seen as something in non-dualistic teaching that stands alone on its, like over there, and they have a really cool whole definition of it. But what it does do in non-dualistic thinking is it integrates it into the understanding of that we're one. And so see, when there's no place for separation, then discretion is actually how we're connected. Because it's all perfect and it's all one, what are we discerning? Now, I was hoping you were going to tell me.
The oneness.
If it's all one, what are we discerning? We don't have to use this grand power of discretion to judge something or categorize it, because it becomes all one. It's not a choice between right and wrong, because there is no right or wrong. It is. Now, I am not saying go out there and don't look both ways or cross against the red light. Now, you did not hear me say that. What I'm inviting you into is realizing that when we start to draw those lines and be discretionary, we start to create separation. Consider looking at it as a whole. And when you want to discern whether or not that's a fit for you, to say, I'm open and willing, and I receive only the best. Done. But you're not getting in it. Not that any of you would ever do that. That predisposed idea stuff, that coming in with an opinion. I know, you gave all that to me too. We are a full service community. When I first dove into this, not easy. And it wasn't true for me that I thought it was easy to be a fool. I was never given that permission. And that is not a judgment. That is not a complaint. That's a fact. That's what that is. I just didn't know that I had that to choose from yet. Yes, everything transforms. Yeah, I know, another acronym. That's 3 in one day. That's enough. So only all of your life, you've heard this story. Whatever that is for you, what is yours? I say, when we consider the fact that foolishness isn't so crazy after all, that it means that I don't have to be tied to my sense consciousness, when it means that I don't have to be judgmental and impose that because it's being imposed on me. And when it means that I can free up and allow myself to know that I am one with the infinite divine wisdom of the universe, that my discernment really doesn't matter much. I'm willing to be a fool. I'm willing to step into it. Now, some of you think she took that trip a long time ago. And that's all right, because you're probably right about that. But it didn't get all the way there, so watch out. Here we go. Yeah. And I just want you to know, again, that I have you to thank for that. I like being a full service community. I like being present to those things in myself that you so freely show to me. It's good to be a fool. And this is a safe place to do it. In these communities and in these teachings, it's a safe place to do it. Wow. You guys should get to be me someday. And with that, I'm going to invite Scott up for some awesome, amazing music.
Thank you. No music. No. The world is foolish as it is until we learn how to forgive. Till we're in it, but not of it. Till we learn to easy does it. Till we finally truly love it. Without abiding by its rules, that's when we are divine fools and graduate from Earth School. We walk around and perhaps hold hands, just like in kindergarten. Being childlike is God's plan. Being open-hearted. The peace that passes all you understand takes us to lands uncharted. So let's let go of being normal and wake up from the dream, because normal's just a setting on a washing machine. And we say amen, amen, e punto.